Thanks for allowing me to have this opportunity to speak to the Green Ring community. I'm very happy to give an update on Baselode Energy. As you have mentioned, yes, I've spoken to your community a few times already, and I will continue to do so, as I do believe that Baselode is a company with a very strong future ahead of us. We've formed the company looking for Athabasca 2.0 style of mineralization. And that is basically high-grade uranium that is near surface and amenable to open pit style of mining. In our first drill program in September 2021, we discovered our Akio uranium deposit. Since then, we've completed 30,000 meters on Akio as well. We are currently drilling our Catharsis project, which we're looking for high-grade uranium near surface and close to infrastructure. When we summarize everything to date, again, Akio is near surface. We've got two zones of near surface basement hosted high-grade uranium mineralization. They start as shallow as 25 meters and 32 meters beneath the surface. There's not a lot of places in the world where you've got uranium mineralization that is that close to surface and of high-grade nature that we see at Akio. We're also well-funded with about $20 million in the bank. We've got a very tight capital structure. We have a $12 million exploration mandate for this year. So we have to spend $12 million on exploration funding by December 31st of 2024 as part of our flow-through commitment when we raised funds. That puts us in a very unique opportunity that we're going to be drilling a lot. We've got a lot of exploration planned for this year. We'll have considerable amount of news flow all year. Myself, James Sykes, CEO, President, Director. I've been in the industry since 2006. I've been part of a number of big discoveries. I worked on Hathor's Rough Rider deposits, helped discover two more deposits in that system. Most notably, I worked for NextGen Energy. I was the third person hired in the company and chief geologist that led the company to the Arrow discovery, which is probably the biggest uranium discovery since McArthur River 40, 50 years ago. And the uranium fundamentals today are phenomenal. They are better than anything that's happened in the last 50 years. The fundamentals we're seeing in the uranium market today are very similar to what we were seeing in the 1960s and 1970s when nuclear build-outs started to happen. We're seeing that type of growth, and we're not seeing the production that's coming up to plate to meet that, to meet the growing demand. So there is quite a supply-demand gap that needs to be filled, and there's no line of sight to fill that gap. Hopefully, Baselode is the company to make that happen. We're exploring in Canada's Athabasca Basin area in northern Saskatchewan, but our approach is different from a lot of our peers. The Athabasca Basin is a sandstone basin, and it's filled with water. Most of the deposits, sorry about the noise in the background, I just have a cat running around in my house here.
Okay.
So the sandstone is basically, it's just that. It's sandstone, it's filled with water, and most of the mineralization occurs at that contact with the sandstone and the basement rocks, which we call the unconformity, or they occur in the basement rocks. If you remove that sandstone, then you can have near access, you can have open pit style of mineralization that we've seen in classic uranium deposits such as Uranium City, Cluff Lake, Rabbit Lake, where there were a lot of open pits, no issues with water, easy to mine at lower grades. But as soon as you start incorporating the sandstone as a cover material to these deposits, if you start getting too thick of a sequence of sandstone, then the water issues become too grateful to deal with. That's why if you look at the image that's on the screen right now, the deposits in the middle of the black lines, those were all mined as open pits, but they were higher grade uranium deposits. They had a little bit of sandstone that they had to deal with water issues. But as soon as you have over 100 meters of sandstone cover, and this is tried, tested, proven, and true, doesn't matter how high your grades are, you need a combination of extremely high grades and extreme size to go into production. If you don't have both of those, your deposits don't go into production. And this is consistent since the 1960s and 1970s. A lot of these deposits that are on that right-hand side of the image that are all gray, which have not gone into production, they've been around since the 60s and the 70s. They've been around for 50 to 60 years. Still no production in sight. The only two that have ever gone in production as an underground mine in the Athabasca Basin are Cigar Lake and MacArthur River. Both of those were over 200 million pounds, over 300 million pounds before they started mining, and they're both over 20% average grade. Those are the type of deposits that you need to find to go underground in that sandstone. However, both of those mines require freeze curtains, so they have to freeze the sandstone around the deposit to mine them. That's a 24/7, 365-day-a-year operation to make sure that water does not infiltrate the mine. Both of those operations have flooded twice, so it is a real issue. It's not just a costly issue, because if the mines are not operating, then you still have to run that freeze program, and so you still have that significant cost while you're not producing. But they're a safety issue. If your freeze wall fails while you have people underground, you will flood the mine, and that's a potential scenario for very disastrous results. We like the idea of being able to find a deposit and being able to move it forward. Our Athabasca 2.0 strategy is all about not just discovering a deposit, but discovering a mine. That's a big difference. So we think that near surface, high-grade uranium deposits are the exploration future for Canada's Athabasca Basin. As you can see, our projects are in green. We're on the south side of the basin, but none of our projects are within the basin itself. Again, because we don't want to find a deposit with water issues. We want to find a deposit that can go into production. In our first drill program, September 2021, we discovered such a deposit. We call it Accio. It starts at about 25 meters beneath the surface, and we've chased it down to about 190. But most of the mineralization's anywhere from 25 meters to 110 meters on average. We have seen mineralization continue down to 320 meters depth, so we do believe that there is a deeper portion to mineralization. We have not tested that, but we've focused mostly on mineralization between surface and 200 meters depth. So this summer, we plan to investigate mineralization along the structures at deeper depths than have been investigated. Right now, Accio mineralization is comprised of 9 individual uranium pods. However, we do believe that 2 of those pods are the same pod, which would extend mineralization from the overburden contact from near surface, 30 meters beneath the surface, down to over 200 meters depth. So quite extensive continuous mineralization. That doesn't happen everywhere in the world. And just it kind of emphasizes the unique deposit that Accio is shaping up to be. It's 175 meters wide, 375 meters on strike length, and we've seen numerous intercepts of high-grade uranium, that being over 0.5% U3O8. So one of the outstanding features of Accio was that we did have near-surface mineralization in pod 1, which is that purple pod on there. We've known about that since 2022 when we discovered it. But last year, we also discovered that our pod 7, which is the orange brownish colored on the left-hand side of the image, that was also discovered to have mineralization starting at the overburden contact. So again, now we've got 2 pods of mineralization starting within 30 meters from surface. That emphasizes the open pit style of mineralization that exists at Accio. Last year's drill program was very successful in that we also extended pod 7 in width, which you can see there on the image, and we extended it at depth. So we've increased the volume of mineralization that we've seen at pod 7 compared to what we inferred back after the 2022 season. So still room to grow. Really summarizing everything that we've seen over the past few years with drilling at Accio. Again, discovered in 2021. We did a large drill program in 2022, completed close to 23,000 meters. And then last year, we came in for another 7,500 meters, trying to tighten up our drill hole spacing, as we were drilling on 50 meter centers. Now we've gone in there and tightened that up to a lot of about 35 meter centers, trying to get mineralization into the indicated mineral resource category. Some of the highlight drill hole results you can see there as well. Hole 69, which returned 0.9% over 31 meters, and that starts at 7 meters true vertical depth. Very shallow mineralization. Excellent grades over excellent widths. And you can see that in the other 2 holes, hole 52, hole 47. We have typical Athabasca style grades of over 1%, over significant widths, and very shallow. So again, there's not a lot, there's not a lot of deposits out there in the Athabasca Basin area that are as shallow as we are. We love Accio, and we will continue to expand it. We will continue to explore it. I'm James Sykes. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and I look forward to hearing from you.